Well, hello and welcome again to our reading of the Greek New Testament. We're reading Luke's Gospel up to chapter 22. This particular pericope is in Matthew and Mark and John, following on fairly closely from Matthew and Mark. So it begins with angiken de he hiote ton adzumon he legomene pascha. And the feast of the unleavened bread. It's the alpha privative plus this zoom root from zuma meaning yeast. So without yeast and hence unleavened, and it's the name of the feast. That which is called the Pascha, the Passover. Kai tsetun hoi archiheres kai hoi grammates topos an elos enauton. Efabun toga ton laon, es elthen de sanatas, es iudan ton kalumenon iskarioten, onto ectu arithmu ton dodeca. And the chief priests and the scribes were seeking, and we get this funny expression topos, which we haven't come across in Luke before, but in fact it occurs 3 times in this chapter here, and in but 4 times in verse 4 coming up later, and verses 23 and 24. So it's a funny expression. It has the meaning of in respect of how, literally. So we would just say how, but it's in respect of how they might kill him. The an elosin is from an hyreo, is the verb. The aorist is halon, and the stem is hell. And then this is the aorist subjunctive from this. So if you're looking up the verb, it's an hyreo. Hyreo is to take. It's a bit like our unpleasant modern expression to take out. This is to take up, literally. So it means to kill. It had that idea. Hyreo, in the sense of to kill, goes right back to Homer, in fact. But we're getting this compound here. So they were seeking how they might kill him, for they were frightened of ton laon, the people. Es elthen de sanatas, es iudan ton kalumenon iskarioten. So Satan entered into Judas, the one being called Iscariot. Again, you can look up the commentaries on this. There are various theories about this name, which I'll leave you to look up yourself, being literally from the number of the 12. So being counted among the 12, we might say in English, but literally being from the number of the 12. Kai apelthon son elalesen tois archiachusin kai strategois topos autois parado auton. And having departed, they, this is from Sun Lalio, they spoke together, so they discussed with the chief priests and the strategois. Now these are generals, this is the word for general. It must mean some sort of military commanders at the temple. It's not general in the modern sense. It's some sort of military people at the temple. And here we get topos again, in respect of how he might betray him to them. So this is Judas. So Judas, having gone, he discussed with the chief priests and the military officers how he might betray him, that is Jesus, autois, to them. Kai ekaresen kai sun enthento auto agurion dunai. And they rejoiced, they were happy, and sunethente, they agreed, from sun tithemi, and they agreed to give agurion, silver, auto, to him. Normally you get the plural of this for money, but it's just silver, so probably just translated as money. Kai ex homologes en kai etsete eu kairian tu paradunai auton ate oklu autois. And he came to an agreement, and he began to seek eukairion, a good time, hence an opportunity, so as to betray. We get to plus the infinitive for purpose from paradidomi, so as to betray him, autois, to them. And then we get this ate oklu. Literally, it means apart from the crowd, away from the crowd. Ate is actually a poetic word, and it doesn't occur very often at all. I think it's only used in Luke, in the New Testament. It is really a poetic word, meaning apart from. Biblical Greek tends to use choris, I think, rather than this, which is an interesting choice of word here that he uses ate, this poetic word. Elthin de he hemera ton adzumon, en he de thuesthai topaska. And the day of the unleavened bread came, and then in square brackets, in which, so in he, it's feminine agreeing with hemera, so on which it was necessary, this is the imperfect from the verb day, the impersonal verb, it was necessary, thuesthai, literally to sacrifice the Passover. We would simply say to celebrate the Passover, but it's the thuo is to sacrifice, and it's going to be middle here. I think it was necessary. It could be passive, for the Passover to be sacrificed, to be celebrated, or it could be necessary, understand, for them to conduct the Passover. Kai apestelen Petron kai Ioannen epon, and he sent Peter and John, saying, Poruthentes hetoimasiti humon tapaska hina phagomen. Having gone, prepare for us the Passover, hina, in order that we might eat it. So this is the, from estheo, it is the aorist subjunctive, in order that we might eat it. Hoi de apen auto, and they said to him, Pu theles hetoi masomen, where do you wish, and get another subjunctive, we would prepare it. Grammar's slightly odd here. You would normally, perhaps even in Biblical Greek, have a hina here, but just says, where do you wish, understand that, we should prepare it, from hetoi masdo. Hode apen autois, and he said to them, Idu, eis elthonton humon, eis tempolin, sun antese, humin anthropos, keramion, hudatos bastasdon. Akoluthesity auto es tenoikian es hen es paruatai. So I'll stop it there. And he said to them, Behold, now we get here a genitive absolute. So when you have entered into the city, anthropos, a man, will meet with you. This is from sun and ta'o, to meet with. And he will be bastasdon, carrying a keramon hudatos. A keramos is it's just a word meaning a jar of water. We get our word ceramic from this. So a jar of water. Follow him, imperative there, into the house into which he enters. Kai erete to oikodespote tes oikias, lege soi hodidaskolos puesti to kataluma hopu topaska metaton metheton mu phago. And you will say to the housekeeper, to the master of the house, to oikos, and despotes, so to the master of the house, so it's slightly repetitive here. So you can just translate all of this as the master and then of the house, but the oiks repeated here. The teacher says to you, where is the kataluma? Now, kataluma is there's a verb kataluo we've seen, I think. It's a room, it's an inn or a hired room, perhaps an upper room, a hired room where Phago, I might eat the Passover with my disciples. Kakenos humin deixe anagaion mega estromenon, eke hetoi masate, apel thontes de huron kathos ereke autois kai hetoi masan topaska. Kakenos the kai ekenos, and he will show to you a large anagaion. This is an upper room, literally anything which is raised up from Gaia, from the ground. There is a word anogion in Attic Greek with the same meaning. So it's just an upper room, a large one, estromenon, furnished, probably from stronumi is used to bestrewing a bed with clothing and so on, but it can just mean more generally here, and I think in the sense of furnished. Eke hetoi masati, make preparations there. Apelthontes de Huron kathos ereke autos kai hetoi mason tapaska. And having gone, they found, just as he had said, this is the perfect from, this is, it's a pluperfect form from Lego, as he had said to them, and they prepared the Passover. It's Heyreka is the perfect, and I think this be Heyraken, and this is the pluperfect form, I think, the ending. So just as he had said to them, and they made preparations for the Passover. The next little section, of course, is the famous institution of the Last Supper, which is not mentioned in John, but it is mentioned in the same location. Here it's mentioned in Matthew, Mark, and 1 Corinthians, of course. Kai hoti egeneto het hora, anepesen kai hoi apostoloi sun auto. And when the hour had come, anapesen from anapipto, he reclined, and his apostles, or the apostles, with him. Kai epen prosautus, and he said to them, epithumia, epithume satuta topaska phagain methumon pro tume pathain. So he said to them, we get a nice use of the, which is Hebraic, really, where you've got the verb plus the cognate noun of the dative. Literally, I desired with desire. So, common Hebraism here. I am very desirous to eat this Passover with you, pro tu me pathain, before. We get pro tu plus the infinitive. This is the aorist infinitive from pasco, before I suffer. Lego ga humin hoti ume phago, autoheos autu plerothe, ente basileia tu theou. For I say to you that in no way, it's ume plus the subjunctive, will I eat it, heos hotu, until the time when, plerothe, it is brought to fulfillment in the kingdom of God. Kai dexamenos poteron eucharistesis apen. And having taken, or having received, perhaps from decamai, the cup, and having blessed it, from Eucharistio, apen, he said, labete tuto kai dia merisaties hiautus. So take this and distribute it among one another. Lego gar who mean, for I say to you, and then hoti in inverted commas, that ume plus the subjunctive, in no way will I drink, apot tu nun, now that's idiomatic, it's quite literal, from now on. So from now on I will in no way drink from the genematos, it's the produce of the ampelos, the vine, Heos hu he basileia to theo elthe, until the kingdom of God comes. So in no way will I drink of the fruit of the vine, the produce of the vine, until, this is heos hu, you'll just apply chrono or something, until the time when the kingdom of God might come. Kai labon arton eucharistesas eklasen, kai edoken autois legon, tuto estin to soma mu, to hupa humon didomenon. Tuto poieti es emein anamnesin. And having taken bread, or a loaf of bread, arton, Eucharistes, having given thanks, eklasen, he broke it. This is from klao, to break. So having broken it, and he gave it to them, saying, this is my body, which is being given on behalf of you. Do this literally unto my remembrance, but that's a good Greek way of saying in remembrance of me. That's a very classical way of saying this, to use the possessive adjective. So do this in remembrance of me. The anamnesis, from anamimnesko, to remember. Kaito poterion hosautos metatot depnesai legon. Tu to poterion he kaine diatheke en to haimati mu to hupa humon ek kunominon. And hos autus, likewise, or in such a manner, so likewise the cup, meta to depnesai, after they had dined, after they have eaten, legon, saying, in other words, he likewise took the cup after they had dined. There's no verb there of taking, but you've got to supply that with from above, saying, tuto topoterion, this is the cup, or this cup, understand, is the new covenant in my blood, the one which is ek kunomena, which is poured out on behalf of you. Now the top probably must refer back to the cup here, but it could also, it is top haima is neuter for blood, so it may refer back to the blood which is poured out for you. And I think that's the way most commentators take it, but grammatically it is an odd expression here. It's ambiguous as to which it goes with. Probably haima, because it's nearest to that, and normally pouring out a cup, pouring out of blood, is the blood's more likely, I think, here. Plain idu heker tu paradidontos met emu epites trapezdes. But behold, the hand of the one betraying me, understand, is with me, you've got to supply is here, is with me, epites trapezdes, at the table. Hoti hagios men tu anthropu katato horismenon parueto, plain uaeto anthropo ekeno dihu paradidotai. Because the Son of Man, and we get a men here, and there's no det, but it must be answered by this plain. So for the Son of Man goes according to that which is ordained, from horisdo, that which is foreordained. But woe to that man through whom, or by means of whom, he is betrayed. And they, kai autoi exanto sunt seten prosiatus to tis ara ie ex auton hotuton milon presein. And they began to debate among themselves. Now we get this funny use of tot again here, in respect of who might be. This is the optative from the verb to be. Who then might be the one from them being about to do this. So they began to debate in themselves in respect of who it might be then from among them, the one being about to do this. Melo plus the infinitive. And that's the first part of chapter 22.